Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my RP life. Follow me on Twitter. Join me on Facebook. Subscribe to me on YouTube. Get ready, ladies and gentlemen, because this platform was created for you, the blind and visually impaired community, so that you can share your stories and what you go through. I am your host, Juan. So get ready, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my RP Life podcast. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to my RP Life. I'm your host, Juan. My beautiful Debbie's my co-host. We have a special guest on today. But before we get started, subscribe to me on YouTube at my RP Life. And don't forget to hit that thumbs up over there. And follow me on all the platforms that Anchor puts me on. And follow me over there too. And if you would like, you can follow me on Twitter at my RP Life. And if you really want to support me, you can, how do I say this? Join my Facebook group. My RP Life Family and Friends is run by myself and my beautiful Debbie. Mwah. My admin. Hey, baby. All right, so we got Diane Arthur in the building.
Hi.
Say hello, Diane.
Hi.
So how are you doing? How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right.
That was good. Okay, so before we get started with any questions, the first question that I tell everybody who is on my podcast, what is the name of your eye condition?
It is called aniridia, which means no iris. And there's 3 different types of it.
Okay.
There's 2 of them that are hereditary and 1 that is not.
Right.
I didn't find out about them until I was older, and I found out that the one that I have is hereditary.
Mm-hmm.
And I also found out that I think 2 of them are genetically inherited by the father, and then 1 of them is genetically inherited by the mother. Could be inherited by both. I guess by both genes.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm not sure, but that's how. And then I found out when I was 26 that the name of the gene. And it's called the Paxton gene.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yes.
All right, cool. So you're not a guide dog user. You just
no.
So you just use a cane?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool.
So, Diane, are you totally blind or just visually impaired?
I'm visually impaired.
Okay.
I was considered legally blind, but I'm visually impaired.
Okay, so you can see. So for those who don't know, you can see a little bit.
I can see a little bit. I can see a little bit now. I could see a lot more when I was younger than I can now, because as I've gotten older, my vision has deteriorated.
Right.
And it's because of the corneas in my eyes. It's gotten worse. They've pretty much died. So, yeah.
Okay. So, can you describe what you see now?
Everything is in a fog.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is in a fog. I do not have a right eye. I have had my right eye removed.
Mm-hmm.
That one pretty much was gone before I was in my 20s. Mm-hmm. And then we had a lot of cornea. I had a lot of cornea transplants that failed, and then I started getting pain in it, and the doctor didn't know what caused it. So he said either you had a choice of either I had a choice of either taking the pain or removing it. And I said, well, either you're going to remove it or I am. And so he removed it. So I can see, depending on what it is, color, the contrast between the two items, the size, the shape, just the distance away from me, that kind of stuff.
Right.
All
right. So, you got a question for her?
Yeah, I was going to say, so since it's hereditary, who else in your family has it? Do you know? Nobody further behind me. Now, when I was born, I am an identical twin. So I have a sister that is 7 minutes younger than me, and her name was Diane. And she also has it. And then I have a daughter that has it. Other than us, I know of nobody in my family. Now, the funny thing is in 2019, I met two girls that, for the first time in my life, that had my type of vision defect.
Right.
And so that would have made me, it's 4 years ago. That, right? 4 years ago, I think, 4 or 5 years ago from now. So about 45 years of my life, I've never met anybody with my eye defect until then.
Wow.
So yeah. So I was quite, astonished that it took that long for me to meet somebody.
Well, I guess that tells you how rare of a condition it is.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I was like that in the beginning with RP. And I was like, when the doctor was like, it used to be rare, it's not rare no more. I'm like, so there's a lot of people out there with it? He's like, yup. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when I did my research, it was just a whole bunch of stuff. All right, so...
Well, the funny thing is when me and my sister were born, they didn't know, my mom didn't know that she was having twins. We were pretty much on top of each other, and they only got one heartbeat. And when my mom went to have us, I came out first, and then they were going to sew her up, and my mom said, "Oh no, you're not." And so all of a sudden, my sister come out, and they were thrilled. They showed my dad, both of us, and then they said, "You got to play a trick on your husband." And so they took a wad of blankets, and they took a blanket, and they filled up a wad of blankets in it, and they took it out to they brought it into him, and took it out to the waiting room, and the look on his face, because when they says Mr. Arthur, and he looked like he was going to faint because he thought he had another one. Yeah. So yeah.
I know. But, I know your sister was like, "Hey, wait a minute! Don't close the door yet."
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. So. Yeah.
So is there anything you would like to talk about to either like raise the awareness of your visual impairment or Anything else that's been going on in your life that you would like to share with the world?
Or what was it like growing up?
Well, that's that. Okay. It's okay. For instance, my mother and father, they had to put toenail polish on my toenails so that they could tell us apart. And we had a father. We had a brother that was 7 years older.
Oh, you said, I thought you was about to say 7 minutes. I'm like, hold on.
I know.
That's 3, girl.
I know. I had to stop myself. Yeah. 7 years older than us. And when we were born, he kind of was a little bit jealous of us. And so, because we took a lot of attention, because for the first 10 years, we had to go to the hospital every year to get tested for this thing called Wilms tumor.
What was that? Wilms tumor?
Yes, Wilms tumor.
Oh, Wilms tumor.
But yes, they tested you till the age of 10 for it. Yes. And because you could develop it. And so he got kind of jealous because we took a lot of attention. And so I think that's why we never really were that close, I think. And so me and my sister I think that's why me and my sister were always closer. And hold on a minute. And
I have a potassium pill for you, my dear.
Okay. So, yeah. What I was gonna say? Oh, she's getting taken care of.
Okay. All right. So, anyways.
Oh, there she goes.
So, anyways, I told them. So basically, we. So basically, what was I saying?
About
saying
your
how your brother was a little bit jealous.
Oh yeah, a little bit jealous.
Closer.
Yes, and so we weren't very close, and my sister and I was, and so as we were growing up, the only time he would spend time with us was when he got in trouble. So.
But y'all were young anyway, and he was young too at that time, right? How old was he when that was going
on? Well, he was 7 when we were born. And as we were growing up, he got, well, the thing is he got to roam the town. Well, not the town, but he got to roam around the neighborhood.
Right.
Where we didn't.
Right. So, because, well, he was young anyway at that time, and he was jealous because your parents were taking care of both of y'all because y'all needed more attention. But hopefully, as time went on, did he change, and was it did he get better with y'all? No, because the only time he spent time with us was when he got in trouble. When he got in trouble and he had to when he got in trouble and he had to stay home, then the only time he wanted to spend time with us was then, because he couldn't go and roam the streets. Right.
So the first thing, it was fun too, because the first time that happened, we wrestled him. The two of us wrestled him together.
Tag teamed him.
Tag teamed him. Yeah, and he left his shirt on, and it was fun because we both tore his shirt.
Oh,
and
wow.
And he got in trouble for keeping the shirt on. And so the next time it happened, he took his shirt off. Yeah. Yeah. So, but those were, and then he would be out, and we had a church next door to us. So he would be out, his buddies and him would be out there in the fields, and they would be playing baseball or football. And we would be in our yard, because those were the only two places we were allowed to go. And because we weren't even allowed to go to our friends' houses. Yeah. Our friends had to come to our homes.
Your parents was protective.
Yeah, they were that. Yes. They were afraid that people would take advantage of us.
Right.
or do harm to us.
Right.
Well, my mom was molested when she was growing up. She was molested. Oh, wow. And she was afraid that somebody would do that to us. And she didn't want that. Yes, and she didn't want that done to us, especially with our disability. She didn't want that done to us,
right?
And so, because people take advantage of the disabled a lot more than they do the people that aren't.
Right.
So, anyway, so we would sit down out in there in the yard, and we would watch them playing. And I said to Mom one time, I said, Mom, why don't Larry play with us? And Mom says, she yelled out there to the churchyard. She said, Larry, I says, let your sister play with you guys. I said, so Larry did. And they noticed that we hung out really well with the guys. Mm-hmm. And so from then on, when they would play out there, they would, but I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I because they always chose my sister. Mm-hmm. Always chose. Because she was a tomboy. See, I was a girly girl. She played really well when it come to sports. I wasn't so well when it come to football and to baseball, but she did. Mm-hmm. And they wanted her on their team. Yeah.
You was more into like Bobby's Playhouse and stuff like that.
I was more into more into those kind of things. Yeah, I was more into. I wasn't so macho. I didn't have the. Yeah, I couldn't drag anybody down like Dion could. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you was like, well, y'all can go play with her. Okay, I'm going to stay here.
Yeah, exactly.
With my dogs.
I'd rather sit there and listen to music than to go and do that kind of thing. Yeah, exactly. Right. So, yeah.
So how were you guys treated by the other kids? Were you bullied?
And like in school and stuff like that.
Did you go to regular school?
I went to regular school because the doctors told my mom and dad when they first diagnosed us, my mom and dad were going to put us in a handicap school, and the doctor told us no. The doctor said no. They took us. We first went to Sarasota to an eye doctor, and he didn't know much about our eye defect. And then so there was an eye institution in Tampa, and it was very prominent of medical stuff. And so there was a doctor there that was very known. And so he started treating us, and his name was Dr. Oh God, I can't think of his name now. Anyways, he was wonderful, and he treated us from the time we were little girls to the time we were in our 20s. And I thought of him like another dad. He was just like another dad, because we would go to him and we would tell him what was going on in our life, and he'd sit there and listen to it. And
don't get doctors like that anymore.
I know. Tell me about it.
Nope.
Yeah.
No more. They're
And,
like, okay, what's your problem? Okay.
I know.
It's time to go.
Yeah, seriously. They give you maybe 5 minutes in their office, and then we're out their door. But this guy didn't do that. No. And and he cared. He'd come into his office on a Sunday if you needed him. He was that caring.
Wow.
So yeah, he was that caring of a doctor. And so so anyways, so he told us not to go to a private school, not to go to a handicapped school, to go to a public school. So we did. And we started out in Head Start. And that's a school for, it's not really a school for, say, math, science, stuff like that. It's not really for things like that. It's more for teaching a kid, oh gosh, I don't even really know because it's been so long. But it's,
now I know Head Start now is like a preschool.
Okay, yeah, it's more like preschool now, yeah. But back when we were kids, it was more like they were getting us ready for, I think, wasn't it? They were getting us ready for...
they're more or less just getting them ready to go into kindergarten.
Into kindergarten, yeah. So I did that for quite a few years. I think I did that for 2-3 years, something like that. Because I was in school for 15 years of my life. So I did Head Start for 3 years. And then I started, 2 years, because I had to do second grade twice. So, and then I think 6th grade, then we'll go up to, through elementary school, we were treated like we had a disease.
What?
We were treated like our eye disease was contagious.
Wow.
Yes.
Kids are horrible.
Yes. Oh yeah.
I would have pushed him in the head.
Yeah.
But go ahead, my bad.
But that didn't bother me though. I didn't let it bother me though.
Man, girl, listen, if that would have been me, I would have been so mad. The only way they would have knew I was mad, I would have broke wind.
Oh no, it didn't bother me because Juan, I had a wonderful vision teacher in the school. She was my what do you want to call it? She was the person who drives me to want to be a vision teacher when I grew up.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes. She
inspired you.
She inspired me. Yes. She loved those kids in that school. She took those kids to her home on holidays and bought those kids gifts and celebrated the holidays with those kids. Took those kids on camping trips and just made those kids feel like they were her own kids. Yeah, and
nowadays that don't happen.
It doesn't. So my elementary schools was the best part of my vision years. And then when I got to middle school is when things changed. That's when the vision teachers started floating from school to school, and they had a vision aide that stayed in the school, but they only stayed with those that were needed. They weren't there for all of the vision ones. They were only with the ones that desperately needed them the most. So yeah, So, yeah, and then which I really didn't like that. So you had a little special room in the library where I had a little tiny thing called a CCTV where I could go, which means I had to leave my classroom, and I would go into the library and I would use the CCTV to do my work. Which means I'm leaving my classroom not knowing what's going on during the class.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I could be missing something very important, you know, which I didn't like, you know.
Right.
So yeah, so you know, it had a lot of disadvantages. So you know, I got into middle school. I got into trouble.
Now we're in the 80s, right?
We're into the 80s.
Okay.
Yeah, we're into the 80s. And I got into trouble one time because a girl decided to pick on my sister.
Uh-oh. Ding, ding, ding.
Yes.
Round one.
And I didn't like her. I did not like her. I won't put names out, but I didn't like her.
Right.
And she just so I went to her one day and I said, I hear you're picking on my sister. And she said, yeah. She said, what are you going to do about it?
Oh, snap.
And I said this, and I kicked her.
What?
And when I kicked her...
You didn't kick her in the hoo-ha, right?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
No. But when I kicked her, I didn't know that she had... I don't know if she must have had surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. And I didn't realize that she was using crutches.
What?
And she had surgery, and she must have had stitches. So because when I kicked her, I opened them up. Ooh.
Where, on her leg?
Yes.
Did she have the thing like Forrest Gump?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Somebody should have told her, run, Forrest.
She started crying.
Yeah, I would have been crying
and
too.
She said, you opened my stitches up.
Well, she should have left your sister alone.
Why did you do that to me? I said, well, you shouldn't have talked about my sister like that.
Right? You're lucky I ain't spit you to the white meat.
And, well, I got in trouble, and of course, I ended up spending a month. I think I can't remember if it was a week or a month in detention in the principal's office before school. For that.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was the worst thing that I ever did in middle school.
Okay.
That was the worst thing. Now in high school was the worst.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I was a bad girl in high school. I was a bad girl in high school.
So no more Barbie dolls.
No more Barbie dolls. No. I met this in 11th grade. I think it was 11th. Yeah, 11th grade. I knew this. I guess he was a 10th grader. Yeah, he was a 10th grader. And his name was Willie. His name was Willie. And he was a friend of my friend Carrie's, and he had a brother named James, and I thought his brother was cute. Well, his brother was in 9th grade.
Right,
now I'm in 11th grade.
Wait, Diane.
Yes.
Okay, listen. I don't want to put no symbols of like rated PG So,
No.
like,
No, I'm
keep
still
it,
no.
keep it 13, girl. I'm just saying.
I am.
Okay, girl. Okay.
Just. Okay. All right. I will. I'll be good. I'll be good.
Okay.
Let's
We know.
just say that was the time that I skipped school for the first time. Was when I met James.
Wow, chicka, wow, wow.
Now we won't go into any further than that. You can put two and two together and there you go.
Yeah.
Now I got caught.
Oh, shoot.
Now I'll tell you how I got caught.
All right.
Okay. All right. My sister ratted me out.
Oh! Nobody rats you out like your family.
You can't.
Yeah,
that's the sister code.
I told him, I said, you have to write me a letter. Now, originally I was going to stay the day. I get there and he tells me I have to go back. And I said, well, you need to write me a letter. So he writes me a letter and I go back and I go into study hall. And then I get this call and I have to go to the principal's office and I'm going, oh no. And the principal tells me that I have a month's worth of Saturday school.
Oh,
a month? What?
A month.
Real life breakfast club.
School. Yeah. Seriously. It was like that too. And I said, oh no, my parents are going to kill me. Because those are the times that we went away for the weekends. We went away to go see my mom's parents every weekend. That was their way of seeing her parents. So, because they didn't live where they lived 2 hours away from where we lived. So, anyways, because I was too young to let me stay home by myself. So, and there was nobody there to watch me for them to go, for them to visit them with and leave me home. So,
right.
They definitely weren't going to leave you home after you got caught ditching school.
Yeah, exactly.
And doing the hanky panky.
Exactly. So, yeah. So anyway, I didn't know that my sister had turned me in. And then my sister told me, she says, well, yeah. She says, I was worried. She says, because you walked all the way over there from the school to his house. She says, and I was worried about you. Like that. No, big mouth.
No, she wasn't. She was jealous.
She was jealous.
Big mouth.
Yep.
She had a boyfriend. She didn't need to be jealous. She already had a boyfriend. I didn't have one. She had one. She didn't need to be jealous. So yeah. I regretted it though because I had blisters on my feet. So yeah. So anyway. And then. Okay. So now. And then he also taught me a no-no. That's where I started. That's where I picked up smoking from him. I picked up smoking from him, and so I started at the age of 17, and and at that time I wasn't getting my SSI. I didn't get that till I was 18. So of course, I needed cigarettes. So my mom and dad smoked. So
you was jacking them up.
So I knew when my mom, I went into my mom, when they were gone at work, I had to go investigate where they kept their cigarettes. So I found their cigarettes. And so I would sneak a pack at a time. And you know, and I'm sure that they eventually figured it out, you know, and yeah, so I'd go outside and I'd sneak a cigarette occasionally, you know, and so yeah, so that was that incident, and then
Oh, can I ask you something real quick though?
yes, you can.
At that time when you was at that time when you was with your boyfriend, were you using a cane yet or no?
Trying to think. No, I didn't really need a cane at that time.
Because it's the
in my
early on
life.
stages and stuff.
I could pretty much see very good.
Oh, okay.
At that time in my life, I didn't need a cane. When I was going to high school and stuff, I didn't need a cane.
Oh, okay.
No. Mm-mm.
All right. Good.
And so I didn't need a cane until I got into my early 20s. Is when I started needing a cane.
Oh. Okay.
So, yeah. I'm glad you asked me that because I didn't think about that. So, yeah.
Yeah, because I know you was born with eye condition and
yeah.
so.
I didn't think about that until you mentioned that. So,
because I know you was using